Hi, Ashlie Johnson here with Brooke Human Resource Solutions, back to provide you some HR tips and tricks to help you stay compliant in your everyday operations. Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about benefits and what your requirements are as an employer. Now, obviously, providing benefits to your employees is a great way to recruit and retain good employees. But there is no law requiring that you provide health or other benefits to your employees. There are lots of benefit levels. There are no federal laws requiring plans to provide the same benefit coverage to all employees. The Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, or PPACA, requires employers with 50 or more employees to either offer employees health care coverage or pay a fee. But the law does not apply to part-time workers. Generally, employers have discretion when structuring their benefit plans and are able to make distinctions among employee populations regarding access to and the level of benefits offered. Plans may differ among employees only on what we call a bona fide employment-based classification. And that has to be consistent with the employer's usual business practices. For example, part-time and full-time employees can be given different benefit levels. Employees working in different geographic locations and employees with different dates of hire or lengths of service can also be treated as different groups of similarly situated individuals. It is perfectly permissible to offer 3 weeks of vacation to exempt employees and only 2 weeks to non-exempt employees because the basis of the vacation benefit is their FLSA category and not any protected category or other applicable law. But keep this in mind, any plan that you have in place for the owner of the business or the owners of the business may have other requirements. Companies are generally permitted to offer employer-sponsored group benefits to owners, and some plans even extend to board members and directors. But there are several things to keep in mind in regard to eligibility and taxation. I want to talk a little bit about the definition of owner, okay? When we use the term owner, it can mean a lot of things. Here are a few examples. Sole proprietor, partner in a partnership, less or more than 2% shareholder in an S Corp, a C Corp shareholder. Many owners, board members, and directors are not considered common law employees, and this can impact their ability to participate in employer-sponsored benefits and affects the taxation of any benefits received. Under the employer mandate, a cafeteria or Section 125 plan and Section 105 rules, sole proprietors, partners in partnership, and more than 2% S Corp shareholders are not considered employees. C Corp shareholders, directors or board members who are not also providing services as an employee to a corporation are not considered employees either. Limited liability corporations, though, can take different organizational forms. And when there's an LLC involved, it's important to understand how that entity has chosen to be taxed, whether it's a sole owner, a partnership, an S Corp, or a C Corp. So you really want to dig into how is the business designed and what does your benefit plan allow for, and make sure that you're taxing it appropriately. When we talk a little bit about eligibility for benefits, I think it's important to kind of dig into making sure that you're consistent there as well. Plan eligibility rules typically recognize employees and their family members as eligible participants. As I talked about just now, owners, board members, and directors are often not common law employees, and therefore, in order to include such non-employees, the plan eligibility rules have to be written to permit owners or non-employees to participate in the benefit plans. And that is going to be subject 100% to carrier approval. And when I say carrier, I mean the benefit provider, the network that you work with. Covering them otherwise risks the carriers refusing to provide claim coverage for such individuals. So when I say that, what I mean is if you don't work with your carrier to make sure that it's written into the plan that those non-employees can be members of the plan, if something were to happen, the carrier could deny their coverage, and that could obviously be a big problem. When plan eligibility rules may include owners, board members, and directors, it's important to keep in mind that covering non-employees likely creates a multiple employer welfare arrangement. They call it a MIWA. Um, Although there's an exception when including partners of partnership, under a fully insured plan that may be okay as long as the carrier is aware and agrees to it. Plan documents recognize the MEWA status and required government filings, and that's going to be your Forms 5500 and M1 have to be handled correctly. For a self-funded plan, it can be even more complicated because self-funded MEWAs are subject to applicable state law as well. And some state laws completely prohibit self-funded MEWAs. So that's another reason you need to dig into what are the rules in your state. Others have varying requirements in regard to financing, reporting, and participation. But I think it's important to talk about making sure that you're including the correct people, that you're making the correct people eligible for those plans, and that you are documenting the process. And make sure that you're filing all the appropriate documentation, that you have ERISA wraps, that you're working with your broker to be sure that you have everything in order and compliant when it comes to your benefit plans. If you do it right, you can get tax benefits. You can get great retention in your existing employees and satisfaction from those employees with the benefits that you provide, and potentially keep those employees longer. So I hope that this has been helpful. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Brooke HR. Thank you, and we'll see you again sometime soon.